I turned from the dark side. I destroyed my master. It is the way of the Sith. And I freed myself from his grasp. And yet, microtransactions remain a potential threat to the galaxy. I'm not some monster under this mask. I was once like you, young viewer. Naive and full of hope. Once, this blade wasn't red. It didn't bleed with the hate and fury enough to turn the green blade to a crimson red. Those days are over. What does Star Wars Battlefront II's problems and issues and controversy mean for the future of gaming in general? Put simply, there's going to be a lot of questions with future Star Wars games. Let me begin by explaining that if one upsets the balance between ties with Disney, which is the overlords of our favorite galaxy far, far away, Star Wars, they own it, it causes problems, ripples, and rifts with future games. EA was once a very prime and valued company, owning such IPs as Red Alert, Sims, and they even had ties in with publishing games like Road Rash. A pretty variety company. They don't stick to just one genre alone. So that's pretty cool. It's not like Bungie with Halo, and it's not like Nintendo with like Mario or something, right? Awesome. Maybe not the best comparisons, but you get my idea. They even own sports series. So would it really matter if they lost Star Wars as an IP? Well, not really. What has ended up happening is that there's about 1.5 million videos summarizing what happened between the Battlefront II controversy, the gamers, the loot boxes, the microtransactions, and Disney themselves. So let me summarize it within a few seconds, and you should feel free to check out many other videos first to find out exactly what happened, but if you want to take this summary, that's fine too. Basically, Star Wars Battlefront II had been constructed in a way to where it would push people towards buying microtransactions. It would make it nearly impossible to unlock all of the heroes, that being just the intro heroes that doesn't include the DLC in the future, just the intro heroes. It would be impossible to unlock them all unless you put many, many hours into the game. This caused quite a lot of backlash, so EA decided to reduce it, but then also reduce several of the game mode's rewards and cap it off with a time limit at times, which, again, not exactly the best idea in the world to do. This created more and more and more backlash until it built up to the point where EA decided to disable them completely, but say that they will put them in at a later date. A lot of people say, why would EA do that? EA wants money. At this point in time, they usually just ignore the fan base. They ignore the people who are crying out with the backlash. I'm with you there, I understand that. However, the overlords known as Disney put in a call to EA. Several of the execs, and they talked to the CEOs over at EA and said, hey, if you don't take out these microtransactions, we're going to go ahead and take you out. And Disney does have a contract, does have multiple stipulations with EA on them making games for them. At the end of the day, Disney has enough money to cut that contract and probably get through a lawsuit if it damages Star Wars as a brand too much. You have to understand right now, Disney probably wouldn't have a problem destroying Star Wars Battlefront II, literally saying, we're done with this game, we're done with you, EA, forever. We don't care the backlash, we don't care how much money we have to pay you to cut the contract early, we're finished. And they will do that because they have a Star Wars movie coming up. You guys know it, I've talked about it. The Last Jedi, Episode 8. And there's going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and there's definitely going to be an episode 9, and there's been talks about having another 3 episodes after that as well, with movies in between. So if Disney continues with what it's doing with Star Wars, you have to understand that they will lose a hell of a lot more money if their brand is damaged by EA's garbage, greedy microtransaction fiasco. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, EA didn't say that they were completely removing microtransactions. They only said that they would be postponed until they would be able to re-implement them without so much controversy. Now, we've seen this in the past too. Many games have decided to put back in the microtransactions after review copies got sent out, after a lot of individuals already played the game and then decided to, hey, I'm going to review the game. It's a pretty much 9 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10, a 10 out of 10, in fact. And then they put the microtransactions in, and then the reviewers say, you know what, that was pretty dirty of you, because I would have given this a much lower score if I knew that there was DLC microtransactions and things like that. Even the people who played Battlefront 2 and were promoting it, the ones that were invited by EA, that would be Star Wars Theory, Stupendous Wave, Star Wars HQ, and many others. Great channels, I'm not downing them at all. They didn't know about the paywall, the locked microtransactions on the heroes. They weren't told the specific amounts. They weren't told the limits. They just went out and tested the game for free. So, you can understand when people get a little bit irate at the simple fact that you lied to them. So, here's EA, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Luke Skywalker. It's not a rejected dark side user. It is Darth Vader. EA was once the promising Jedi who was going to restore the balance of the Force. And what it ended up doing is it ended up joining the dark side, becoming more machine than man, and it decided to trade its humanity for overwhelming greed. And that's exactly Darth Vader. A person who wanted to save himself, take the Empire for his own, and save everyone around him. He was greedy. And when you become that attached to something, like money, for example, you become extremely greedy and you lose sight of your own ideals. But if that's all that I had to talk about with this story, that wouldn't be that bad, right? Bad company does some bad things, it gets fixed by that company's overlords. Oh well. No, what ended up happening is that even Wall Street is backing off EA. They saw about a 3% decline in their Wall Street shares and holdings and stocks and all of that good stuff, which is really, really bad for a company. 1%, that's fine. A small percentage, you might even say 3% is not really that big, but that's all we know of right now. The game's been universally panned as a cash grab, a cash cow. It's not good, and a lot of stockholders are seeing that too. The stockholders may not be gamers. The stockholders may not know what we know. They only know what bankers tell them, investors tell them. Hey, you should invest in this company because they have a really popular series and an upcoming game coming out, so you could make some money. And then the person says, yeah, sure, here's $100 grand, get me whatever shares I need to do, and there you go. And that's all they do. They might not even know what's really going on here. They might see microtransactions. Oh, microtransactions, who cares about that? It's just game, play the game. They don't understand it because they aren't gamers like us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, people will sit there and say, oh, playing video games and having extensive knowledge of video games, that won't get you anywhere. Look at me. Look. You see me? I'm not slaving away at a factory. You can work any job you want. I'm not downing you for that. I'm not going to make fun of you for that. I mean, it's not really great to be bagging groceries at 40 years old and that's your main job. But again, at least you have a job. The point I'm trying to make is that I've made a success of myself for knowing about information like this and being able to do something more with my life. So if you're a gamer and you know a lot of information, don't feel bad, don't down yourself, use it for the greater good. Because, as we all know, one Sith Lord might have been destroyed, defeated EA, but there's always two, another, a greater master, which would be Disney.